In the early days of an organization, people management is informal. The founder hires personally, decisions are quick, policies are verbal. Everyone just understands. But as the organization grows, something changes. Confusion increases, miscommunications increases, attrition rises, accountability becomes unclear. So the question is, when should informal people handling transition into structured HR? Today, in people management practices, we explore when and why this shift become critical. Ram, at what stage should an organization move from informal people handling to structured HR systems?
Yeah, very good question. I'll answer this in 3 points or 3 dimensions per se. The number one is it's not about employee count alone. One means it's not about the count. So many think it's about 20, 30, 50 employees or so. So it's actually about a complexity, not about the count. And what are the number of departments and the reporting layers that are increasing and the speed at which the growth is taking place. And we can say it is about the number of branches, number of offices. So when that expansion which is happening, that is where the complexity comes into picture. It's not the headcount. It is about the complexity that demands the transition or HR structure. When we talk about point number 2 or dimension 2, there will be some early warning signals will be there. That is where the structure is needed. So that is where I can give you some list of those things like repeated role confusion will be there. Who needs to do what kind of activities? There is a lot of conflicts that will come between the teams actually, at whose work it is. I am not a owner. I am not responsible for this, like that kind of things. And there are inconsistent salary decisions will come. That is where people are hiring at a higher cost and the existing people are getting lower side of it. But the existing people who are working are taking, training the people and welcoming the new people, and the new people are getting, there is a higher salaries or there is an inconsistency which is coming into that. That is also another situation. And there is no clarity in terms of the performance evaluation, how to evaluate and what can be called as a performance. Because the person's early stage, they are associated with the organization. They are all pervasive. Anywhere they'll do any kind of an activity, they'll pick up because they know that and they'll take ownership and they'll complete those things. But when it comes to objective based performance evaluation, when there is no structure, it is not possible. So there is a higher dependency on the founders for smaller decisions. Even small decisions, let the boss need to come, right? So we are waiting for that particular thing. So those dependencies will be there on the owner or the founder. Then it is a signal actually for that. And the attrition which is happening generally within 1 year, after 6 months to 1 year, in between that attritions are happening. That is, people when joined and people are leaving the organization, then you need to understand that there's a lot of warning that is coming to you to make it to a transition to a structured HR. And compliance related discomfort, that is also one of the issues that is coming into. That's where you have to make your organization structured. So when the process depends on the memory, it is, instead of the systems, it is it's a warning signal for growth is at the risk. Okay, growth is becoming a risk. So when we see the third point or the third dimension, the risk of delaying this structure, when to do is the question, right? So when we are delaying this particular structure, there's a lot of risk is there. So there is a lot of when we are late introducing this particular structure, till then it is going very informal part of it. There's a lot of cultural damage which will happen, which is very difficult to reverse. Culture means the practices and the beliefs. So when the beliefs and the cultures, the practices, whatever practices and the beliefs, which we call it as a culture, is getting ruptured, then what happens is it is very tough for us to make it reverse. People don't, they'll resist a lot of change and a lot of favorism. The groups will happen. There's a patterns of the groups that will happen. It is very tough for us to dismantle that particular things. and a lot of inequalities, salary related inequalities, work related workload sharing inequalities, and a lot of trust that gets damaged because of this particular structure is not there. So delaying the structure increases the cost of correction. So with these 3 points, we have to understand that the structure of HR is very much important for us. And I mean, we will discuss further on the how it needs to be done on the structure part, right? Yeah.
Actually, the three kinds of dimensions what you have shown are very much helpful, it seems. Let's proceed to the next one. Like when we are speaking about the growth of the organization and the structured HR. So, what exactly changes when we are speaking about this structured HR?
Wonderful question. Actually, people need to understand what do we mean by structured HR first. So structured HR is not a bureaucracy or making it a too much of rule based kind of things, but it is giving a lot of freedom with a lot of clarity. That is where ambiguity, ad hoc decisions, and all these things will go off with this structured HR. So what it means actually, the structured HR contains is defined roles and responsibilities will be there. There's a clear JD, job descriptions, who needs to do what at what level people will have a certain authorities, how they will exercise those things. And nowadays we are doing it for most of the organizations which are around 5 to 10 years of companies, where they have a lacking certain kind of course corrections that are needed for their org structure and the job descriptions. We are helping them actually to restructure that. So it depends on the, it clarifies about the authority limits, practically what is the outcome, what are the measurable KPIs, and what are the task level activities that they are supposed to take care of. So it defines and it gives a lot of clarity for that. Okay. And documented policies, leave policy, every policy is not that we need to assume, not that we need to bring it into a practice, into memory kind of things. Everything is documented very clearly so that everybody understands the policy. Policy is nothing but the philosophy of the management. So that when the management has got certain philosophy related to the leave management, that is the work-life balance that the people need to take care of it, that actually resembles that. So those philosophies need to be documented as policies so that the consistency can be achieved through that. Then structured hiring process, not that this person is very good, just take him, and this person is not good, don't take it. Or you are not having that kind of a mechanism, at least for hiring related kind of things. Now with the structured HR, you will get a structure. How many number of rounds of interviews? What is the qualifications that needs to be there? It is vis-a-vis the job descriptions. What is the skill quality? What is the education related suitability? And as well as a longevity, compensation suitability. So many aspects that needs to come into the will come into the hiring process structure, and you will get a lot of clarity towards it. As well, performance review system, salary benchmarking, and salary structuring framework, so that can take care of the taxes, that can take care of the different components of compensation, whatever that we're paying for them, maybe the variable incentives or performance related incentives, all those things. Then compliance clarity, what is the PF, ESA, gratuity. So many other promises that people are making them assured about for the futuristic kind of things. That compliance needs to be taken, and defined reporting authority. It's not that for these kind of things you report to somebody, for certain other things you need to report to somebody. So it will not have any kind of a reporting, unclear reporting will not be there. So there's a command control will be there, and checks and balances will be there. So people will work under certain instructions and guidance that people will work. So there's a lot of structure that comes into picture. This is what we meant for HR structuring kind of things. So it brings a lot of clarity. Clarity builds the trust.
Great. Having a structured HR, definitely it seems very much required when the system grows, because as you rightly said, before the growth of the number of people, we can manage anyways because we are directly connected to them. But the number grows, then definitely we need a system out there. Thank you very much for that perception. And now we are trying to understand the lenses, the perceptions of both the founder and the HR. for these people management practices.
That's very
As a part of it, I would like to answer, ask you to answer for this question. Like, if I am a founder managing a 20 to maybe 25 to 40 member team and things are still running fine, why should I invest in structured HR now?
It's really a wonderful question. Let's understand today's comfort will not give us, the same kind of a comfort over a period of time. So today's stability will not sustain for the growth of the, tomorrow's growth, basically to say. So what happens is, preventive systems are much, you will achieve them very quick, very adaptive, and much cheaper, economical than the corrective restructure. So that's where you need to invest in the structured HR because it's not a comfort actually. It is a futuristic need that needs to be taken care of it. When the organization is growing beyond certain level, obviously, I don't say the number as I told you earlier also, but for our reference, 25 to 40 member team is a good number of team which is running fine. A 41th member onwards, maybe per se, it becomes a very, the bandwidth should go into the more towards strategy. The founder need to think about the strategy. Founder need to think about the mergers, acquisitions, or hirings, or new dimensions, new aspects that people need to think about it. How to grow the organization after 5 years, after 10 years, after 15 years, how it needs to go. But he should not talk about the, he should not involve and waste his time in the firefighting or operational part of it. So that is where people need to adopt or to more focus towards the strategy, not at the lower side of it. So what happens is having such kind of a structure will protect the culture, will protect the systems and process. Everything will be under control. So founder can have a checks and balances so that he can understand as things would go good. Actually, I'll try to give you one stage-wise small breakup. Even in the last episode, also we discussed about this. 0 to 15 employees. To that extent, you can have the informal people. Informal, you can hire. Informal, you can instruct people and they can work. So a lot of things that can go because it is a comfort at the level to make the operations run and to sustain the business that people can do it. So 15 to 40 when people are coming, so there is a lot of the people will have that what I can say, small confusions will start. Conflicts also will start at that moment. So that's where a basic structure model must be there. Minimum things must be there. So whatever the regular, policies or little kind of a structure that we can put it across. But 40 plus onwards, it's no more a startup. It's no more a baby. It's no more a this thing. It's growing organization. So definitely professionalization is a mandatory. Whoever it is, what level they are, whether they are the directors, vice presidents, or maybe the executive directors, whoever it is, but they need to follow certain decorum and they need to follow certain cultural aspects, whatever defined by the organization. Then the uniformity can be taken. Then the predictability will be there, and there are no ad hoc decisions. That's where structure strengthens. Okay, so this is what basically we can say. Okay, so
Actually, this gives a clarity to the management people and the decision makers, I think, and hopefully they'll understand when to go for what. And then when the same thing comes to the HR professionals, because we also need to understand the perceptions of HRs because we have different perceptions there.
very true.
Can you give a clarity on, from a HR's perspective, when should they recommend formal structuring?
Here, one thing that we need to see is HR professionals, either they are external or internal HR people, they need to advise to the management. They need to recommend to management about the when it needs to go with that. So nowadays people are using a lot of AI tools, a lot of HRMS packages that people are taking it and they are trying to put it across to. But actually, as long as the process and the systems needs to stabilize, till then we should not go for automation or something else. Okay, too much of structuring through technical apps need not be required. I mean, should not be done per se. Okay, why? So this is from the HR professionals perspective. When we see, we can understand these things very clearly. That when inconsistencies are there that are affecting the morale of the people, people are getting pissed off. Things are not happening according to me, and I have served a lot for this organization from the beginning. Now, organization is not looking at me or not taking me into consideration. That is the point when HR people need to understand that, because before it goes to the founder or the CEO or at the topper level, first it gets reaches to the HR professionals. It is their job. It is their responsibility. They'll get the feelers of those things. Then immediately that is a signal that yes, we can recommend the formal structuring part of it, because inconsistencies are increasing. And when hiring is becoming frequent, that means people are leaving and we are refilling the positions again and again that we are doing. So why people are leaving? Because there is no structure, there is no formal structure, there is no consistency, there is no confidence, there is no repetitive, predictable repetitive aspects are not there. Every time ad hoc, every time we need to check, every time we are getting a lot of things. That's also one of the inconsistent behavior that we can understand. So that is also one of the points where we have to recommend the formal structuring. And the compensations are lacking fairness, because generally what we say is internal parity, external parity. So for compensation, we say about the fairness is one of the features any organization need to adapt as a part of their philosophy, because they need to maintain that fairness across the organization. And those decisions are becoming no problem there. You take that particular fellow for 1 lakh extra also, chalega, that will work for us. So there is a fairness which is missing in. So that is where tomorrow the people who are working the similar kind of activities, people will have a lot of mistrust towards the organization. Though you might be paying on time, though you might be behaving with them right way, but these kind of insecurities or these kind of partialities, some non-fairness obviously gets a lot of attention towards that. So which is very dangerous for the organization. That is where you have to make it more strong. You bring your own relative, you bring your own kith and kin fellow, but put him across as per the organization's bandwidths. Whatever the compensation bands are, you put them across into it. As their skills are growing, you increase their salary. But don't bring that just because of nepotism or something, and you keep them at a higher salary rates and all. Those decisions doesn't attract the people, because people have become more, because they are becoming more 40 plus. Obviously, we need to be very much cautious towards that. When managers are struggling with the feedback, they are not getting the information from top to down what is going to happen. Just I am getting an instruction to execute that. So earlier there used to be a discussion, but now I am getting only an instruction towards from the top. From bottom to top, I am not getting any information, any feedback. So upward feedback, I am not getting anything. I don't know what is happening. Somebody asks, do you know that fellow wants to go off? Did you got any feeler or something? The CEO comes and asks you as a HR professional. You might not be having you might be clueless. He might be getting that kind of a feeler or information that he is getting. That means the feedback is not coming to you. So there is no informal feelers that are not coming to you. That means organization inconsistencies are increased and information is getting stuck in between. So that's where you make it more structured, formalize it, and then you will get the information passed. And when compliance risks they are coming into that, then also we need to take a formal structure, because how many number of employees are there, how many were registered, how many were got the salary as per the labor laws, is it going related to the things, or people are not listening to you. Complaints is internal complaints also, not only statutory. It could be internal complaints related things also, quality complaints, maybe standards, maybe things are not happening and there's a lot of risk that is appearing. That means things are not happening better, there is no checks and balances, right? So at that time, formal structuring is very much required. So HR should not wait for the crisis to come to recommend the structure. Okay, so this needs to be taken very seriously. So at NRich, what we are doing is we are working with the organizations with this transition phase. So currently we are dealing with some of the companies where exactly we are seeing that where the information is getting lost, where the structures are not happening, where, as I told you earlier also, the organization structure needs to be there, job descriptions need to be defined properly, compensation bands to be defined properly, and the policies need to be refined and documented properly, and those things needs to be communicated to the people. Then people would be need not assume anything, and they can be very much comfortable and at a very secured way that they can work with, right? So this can be done. Wow, I mean, you may ask me that how it can be done. So it can be done with a complete HR outsourcing, or maybe fractional strategic support that people can take, or a project based implementations also. We worked on these three different kinds of things that we are taking care to help the organizations and to increase their the maturity levels and the growth levels also, that we are doing it actually. So that's the knowledge that it gives you, the perceptions it gives you, so that how the organizations can grow with these particular things.
Right, great. That was a comprehensive as well as more elaborative answer you have given. That gives a clarity to the HRs also while taking a decision how and when they should go for the structured HR.
Right.
Because most of the times what happens is we continue working and we'll be looking out for why we are not able to find the results and all. But they should know when to take up the right steps and when to look out for the transformation and whom to they should go and ask for help and all.
Yes.
So this gives a very wonderful idea on that.
Yes.
And now I have got the next question. Like if a founder watching this, let us say, and unsure whether it's time for him to take up this structured HR or not, then what is that one question they should ask themselves?
One thing, Lavanya, we can see the calibration. This question can be a calibration kind of a thing to check, is my organization is growing faster than my people systems. If the organization is growing faster than the people systems side of it, then definitely you need to look into that. Structured HR is very important, right? Because organization is growing. To sustain that growth, when the people management side is not giving that kind of a support, then it becomes very tough for us to handle those things. So they need to check with that. His organization is going faster than the people systems. Right? If the answer is yes, then it is the time for them to actually to formalize their people management practices.
Wonderful, Ram. Yes, they have to look out for the transformation because they have to see their growth phase, how it is going, and then only they can understand. That's a wonderful point you have mentioned. And with this, we have come to the conclusion of the second episode of People Management Practices. At NRich HCM Solutions, we enable leaders to build strong people practices and help organizations transition from informal handling to structured capability. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.